So on Monday, we were talking about some of the characteristics of sila, and they consist of like composing or coordinating the bodily aspect in a consistent manner. And also, what do I talk about here? Then this one has a basis of a foundation of a mental states to arise. Wholesome mental states to arise. And then here, some of the function, and then this we will talk about that. So the thing is that this the Hiri and Ottappa, these are two, as I said, two wholesome mental states that they are part of the whole morality. And because of these two, there is a sense of moral shame and moral fear in us. Even like tonight, or the night on the Monday night that I'll talk about, a lot of things we cannot cover on morality. But nevertheless, because of this Hiri Ottappa, then there's a sense of the mind able to pull back. Able to pull back so that we don't fall into the unwholesomeness. Then here we talk about different types of sila. They have avoidance, keeping, you have keeping, performing, they have avoidance. What do you mean by keeping? What do you mean by avoidance? Keeping means performing here means things like respect, things like dana, things like kindness, things like service. This is something that you perform. Also many things in the Vinaya also that we perform. And also in avoidance means you don't do the unwholesome things. You avoid especially. So dependent on and independent. This one also is important for us in the sense that it all connected with the creator, or it connected with wrong view and craving. This also we have to recognize them. So if we do not able to recognize them, it continue on, and then although we are good person, although we are having a lot of kindness, but behind it, it's motivated because of that wrong view or false view. So if, as I said that day, if you have a lot of like belief in a creator God, and that the creator God tells you to do something good, to do offering, so you offer in that sense. So the offering is still wholesome, but the false view is unwholesome. So because of that, because of especially with this false view or wrong view, then a lot of times, even with Buddhists also, we think that all religion is all the same. And they tell you to do good, tell you to do a lot of good deeds. Don't do all the bad deeds. Yes, on the surface, it's true in that sense, but behind it, there can be connected with false view or connected with craving and so on. So that also we have to take note of it. So the front looks the same, but behind what is inside the mind is very different. So independent means for the purpose of full liberation. Temporarily, then you have lifelong, you have like temporary, we have 8 precepts, 10 precepts, limited, we set one's limit of time. Like for example, even you want to become a nun or become a monk, temporary monk or nun, also that also falls into this one. Lifelong, you make the vows that you want to keep it for lifelong. Limited, unlimited also, this one also we have to take note, because this one a lot of times we want certain things, or we want to gain certain things out of gain, out of fame, out of name, relatives and wealth and so on. So it's all limited because of that. Because there's a basically there's craving behind it, delighting behind it. Unlimited means unlimited by those things. Mundane and supramundane. Mundane here again subject to taints that bring happiness in the future. It still brings happiness to your future, but subject to taints here, for example, subjected to sensual desire. You are attached to all these things. You're attached to certain things, for example. It brings your happiness here and now. But because it doesn't really break a precept or anything, then it can also be happiness for the future, but it's connected with all the taints. So for example, if you do dana over here right now, then it's still subject to taints because the dana still brings resultant happiness in the future, but it still doesn't get you out of samsara if you just only do dana. Although it can be a prerequisite for liberation, but further than that you did not pursue on, then it's just mundane. Therefore, supramundane is not connected with all this. So it's connected to path and fruition consciousness of fruition knowledge, and also the knowledge of reviewing. Inferior, medium, superior. Also we have gains, merits, liberation. Or inferior, you want to practice for your continued existence. Medium, you want to practice for liberation for oneself. Superior, you want to practice for oneself and other beings, like the bodhisattva. This one, the seventh one, diminution. Diminution here mixed with fools, unguarded senses, wrong thoughts. These are not really virtue, but when you have those things, your virtue you begin to decline and diminished. Stagnation here. Now, stagnation here is something like a lot of Buddhists are doing this actually. This stagnation. Stagnation is in the sense that they just happy of what they are doing, the wholesome things that they are doing. For example, they want to just come for dana. They just want to do offerings and maybe keeping 5 precepts. Ask them to come for meditation. Bhante, no lah. Next life lah, Bhante. Next time, Bhante. Next time, Bhante. They want to come. They're just satisfied. You tell them, hey, come lah for retreat, and all that. Then they say, this Bhante, every time see him only, he talk about meditation, nothing else he talk about already. Ciao. Talking nothing except this and this. Then they only satisfied with this style. So it's all stagnation. Distinction here means they strive for calmness, concentration. Here they strive for jhana, but not for actually getting out of samsara. Penetration only when we talk about getting out of samsara. Now here the 8th one. Tonight I would like to talk about the 8th one. And because looking at this 8th one, although it's connected with a lot of purification of this sila, although it's connected with the bhikkhu or bhikkhunis or monks or nuns, but then some of the things also are very relevant for a lay person. So we'll look into it. We'll look into it. Okay, we stop sharing. We go to another one. Hey, sorry. Stop shop. Okay, hold on. Okay. Can you see number 8, morality due to purification, parisuddhi sila? Okay. All right. Now, this 4, morality, we're going to talk about it, extended on it a little bit more for tonight. Morality of a patimokkha restraint, morality of a restraint of sense faculties, morality of purification of livelihood, morality that concerning requisites. So these 4, This four is something that, although a number of things may not be connected to you, but still there's a lot of relevant in your life also, because every now and then you will still meet with monks or nuns. At least you know what are some of the things that we have to go through in order to curb the defilements, in order to polish ourselves, polish all those rough edges. So tonight, the talk, it goes into, as I said, finer aspects of morality, because we really, really need to polish those rough edges through our speech and action. For a lot of times, we as a lay person, you all don't see that. And when it comes to the mental development, then you suffer in a certain sense. You suffer in a certain sense that progress cannot come. A lot of defilements is coming in. A lot of obstacles that's coming in. And you find that obstacles, whenever I see this obstacle, it's not other because of your everyday habit. And everyday habit means your everyday sila. But you don't look into it further. Now, morality, the first one, morality of patimokkha restraint. I show you this thing. Here, we get it from the Majjhima Nikaya, or also you can get it from the Vinaya Pitaka also. Here, this one is, I got it from Anguttara Nikaya, Book of the 10. So because there are 10 things here, chapter 31. Then the Venerable Upali. This Venerable Upali, he is the foremost in the Vinaya during the Buddha's time. Whenever you have discrepancy about Dhamma, about the Vinaya, you are not sure, you are doubtful, then this is the monk that you should go to. Venerable Upali. Approached the Blessed One, paid homage to him, sat down to one side and said to him, Bhante, on how many grounds that has the Tathagata prescribed the training rules for his disciple and recited the Patimokkha? It is Upali on 10 grounds that the Tathagata has prescribed the training rules for his disciple and recited the Patimokkha. What 10? Number 1, for the well-being of the Sangha. Number 2, for the ease of the Sangha. Number 3, for the keeping recalcitrant persons in check. Number 4, so that well-behaved bhikkhus can dwell at ease. Number 5, for the restraint of taints pertaining to this present life. 6, for the dispelling of taints pertaining to future lives. Number 7, so that those without confidence might gain confidence. And 8, for the increasing the confidence of those with confidence. 9, for the continuation of the good Dhamma. And the 10, for the promoting discipline. It is on these 10 grounds that the Tathagata has prescribed the training rules for his disciple and recite the Patimokkha. Now, the Patimokkha here, all the 220, the Patimokkha of the bhikkhus and Patimokkha of the bhikkhunis. So the bhikkhus, you have the 227 rules, and the bhikkhuni has 311 rules. As I said, that when you go into all the permutations of 227, and it comes to around 9 million, according to the Visuddhimagga. So there's a lot of small little rules, and we can go into permutations and so on. So we don't worry about those things too much. So in general, the whole Vinaya, the whole Patimokkha that the Theravada bhikkhus that observe is for the sake of well-being in the Sangha and the ease of the Sangha. Here means that for those righteous monks, for the righteous monks to dwell at peace, to dwell at peace, to dwell at ease, in the sense that when they dwell at ease, they dwell at peace, they have that opportunity, they have the conditioned to develop themselves further. So if there's no well-being, there's no at ease, it's going to be very difficult for meditation or mental cultivation. Then the three is to make sure that all these shameless monks sometimes to keep them in check, or in order to check them so that they can able to reconcile themselves that this is something or certain action or certain speech that they done, it's unwholesome, it's wrong. So the 5 and 6 here, when you have a lot of these, the Vinaya rules, it's because that we want to rough our edge, to smoothen all those rough edges. And here, the rough edges, it's connected with our taints, or the Pali word is asava. So I give you the next, this one. Now, asava here, or sometimes they call it as taints or influxes or affluence. There are 4 types. I've mentioned with it about a month or 2 ago, I think so. Number 1 is the sensual desire. Number 2 is becoming or existence, bhavasava. Number 3 is wrong views or false view. And number 4 is ignorance. Now, if you find that in the sutta, number 1, number 3, and number 4 usually is being mentioned. But in Abhidhamma, they add number 3 with the wrong view. So altogether, there are 4. So it's perfectly all right. So here, the central desire, it's that the taints, a lot of times that being a human, whether you are a monk or a nun, you still desire this, desire that. And sometimes even within the monkhood or nun, you desire certain robes. You desire a certain bowl. You desire a certain shelter, a certain medicine, a certain requisites that you this one. And that certain of that desire can be very strong for some monks or some nuns. So that also we have to restrain it for now and also for the future. Becoming an existence here, that means that our mind still crave to delight in rebirth. You want to be reborn in a certain way, in a certain sense, in the future, not so much of getting out of samsara. So that's why sometimes, as I said, that the dana that we offer, although it still produce merits, but still the craving is still there, the taint is still there, that it gives rise to happy rebirth. Whereas that happy rebirth is still tainted with bhavasava. That it means it's still tainted in that sense. So again, the Vinaya, the practice of this Vinaya is to help us to further to remove all these stuff, taints. Wrong view here is another form of taints that sometimes people, as I said earlier on, that people keep rules, regulations, and keep out of, because they fear of there's a God that may harm them if they don't keep those rules. If they fear that they may get some unhappy resultant if they do not perform them. So out of wrong view. And out of ignorance means that you do not know. You do not know what is wholesome or what is unwholesome. You do not know what is Four Noble Truth. You do not know what is karma and its resultant. You do not know all this type of thing because you are ignorant. Because you are ignorant of this type of thing. This is what we mean by asavas here. So here we want to restraining in this life and also in the future lives. That when we remove these things, it really helps us into our mental development. Number 7, number 8. Here, for those who without confidence, without faith, might gain confidence, might gain faith, and to increase those with confidence. here is connected with lay people and also with other monks. In the sense that when you develop the Vinaya, you keep the Vinaya, and you see the slightest fault in it, and you acknowledge that those are faults here and there, and then we practice in the way that within the scope of Vinaya. With that, when the devotees look at us or look at the monks or look at nuns, they look at that the monks have a lot of clarity. The gestures and the words are soothing, to the eyes, and then you find that the people get increase in their faith because of that, and therefore because of also within the sangha, the lay devotees and the monastics are closely interrelated in the sense that they provide you food or medicine or shelter or medicine and some of the other requisites. So without those faith, then those connection will starts to break. Then because of that confidence also, then the lay devotees, when they have more confidence, they also want to practice further. And they want to become monk, or they want to become nun, or they want to develop the mind further into liberation because of that confidence. And you could see that the monks or nuns are well behaved, have all these traits, good traits, then the confidence increases. Also, for the increasing of the confidence, so those already have confidence. That means even within our monkhood, also or nuns, we see other monks who are practice really well, really strongly and very determined. And then we also, looking at them, also we find that, wow, I mean, we perhaps that if we can follow him or follow her in her practice, then also our development will becomes better. So in that sense, the confidence of those who already have confidence and then increase. Sometimes also, like for example, when you are meditating in the retreat center and you see that some of the yogis who are practicing very diligently, and with that you see that, wow, if I could have just an ounce of his or her effort now, wow, it would be very good for me. Yeah, so we have that confidence. So too, like in a sangha and the laity too. Then for the continuation of the good Dhamma, the Pali word is Saddhamma. Here the Saddhamma here means the right teachings of the Buddha. Now, only when you have this, a lot of good morality and good Vinaya rules, and then only then you want to develop the mind. And to able to develop the mind, you have to learn. You have to learn about the Dhamma, you have to learn about the Vinaya. So therefore, only then you can able to keep that Vinaya, and also you can able to propagate to others. And also you can able to propagate the Dhamma and the Vinaya to others. In that sense. If not, without the Vinaya, this whole Sangha, with this whole thing will start to collapse. The Buddhism will start to collapse. Nowadays, as I said, secular Buddhism, they minus the Sangha, they minus the Buddha, they want the Dhamma only. And then it cannot exist. Very hard. Then later on, we'll see that now a lot of practices in the terms of what they call Buddhism may not fall under the Noble Eightfold Path. It's still wholesome, but doesn't fall under the Noble Eightfold Path, because one of the components you take out, starts to break already. Yeah. So this one, why the whole Vinaya Patimokkha thing is being prescribed by the Buddha. So if you want to know more about this, then I just leave the shaving blade and the ropes for you lah. Then you know how to sick Joe already lo. Then If not, now it become too much to talk about the Vinaya and also and the discipline and so on. Unless you become a monk or you become a nun, then we can discuss further. Yeah. Right. Now, we go back here again. So second thing, the morality due to restraint of the sense faculties. Now, the restraint of sense faculties here, as I said the other day, when we talk about the restraint, when the restraint of senses, sense faculties of our sense, of our five senses, and also sometimes they call it the faculties. Here, there are two things that you must learn how to restrain. First, you must be careful of the signs or the outlook. The Pali word is nimitta. Again, here, when we are looking at thing, or we are hearing something, very fast we already take the outlook of it, and then we already put a name for it. If sometimes, for example, you take up the phone, in the olden days, you take up the landline phone, and you do not know who is on the other end is calling you, right? So when you do not know, then when you pick up the phone and you hear there's a voice, immediately you know who is it on the other end of the line. Yeah? It could be your daughter, it could be your husband, because that particular sound, it belongs to him or belongs to her. So here when we hear something, when we hear that sound, very fast the mind goes into putting a name there, identified it, because how you identify it with particular tone of the voice, particular sound of the voice, the way that he speaks, the language that he speaks, for example. Then by that you go into all the particulars already. So too, as I said that day, when we look at somebody, when the moment we see somebody, how do we know that it's him or it's her or that person is so and so? Because he has that shape, he has that way of dressing, that shape, that outlook, that sign belongs to him. Then we put the name is already there. Then if we go and look further, then he got his this way, he's got his hair in this way, his eyes in that, his nose is this, his mouth is this way. Very fast our mind capture all the particulars already. Then we already identify the person as they are, So this is what when we say restraining of the senses, then we go opposite of it. This one, as I said, you have to be doing it, especially when you are in the retreat, especially for lay people. Especially when in a retreat, you got to restrain your senses. And it's difficult for us to restrain our senses because in everyday life, you do not practice it. Everyday life, we keep on looking things, everything we want to look at. We want to hear everything. We want to smell everything. We want to touch, we all touch all the comfortable things and so on. There's no restraint in our senses. We restrain in our precepts, yes, but when it comes to our senses, we don't. But for the monks, or nuns, there's a certain degree of restraint of the senses must also be there. For example, when they go out to places, they must not like looking here, looking there, looking everything. Cannot do like this. Then it becomes very worldly, in that sense. So the monks have to, when they go out to town or when they go out to Pindapat, to go out for their alms round, then they have to keep the eyes in front of them. They see what is in front of them, and they see what is 5 or 6 feet in front of them, and they don't worry about what is happening around there. Unless they want to cross a road and something like that, they look around. Then other than that, they keep the eyes below. So there's restraint or senses. So for the yogis is that when you are meditating, you got to restrain your senses. Even if you want to do online retreat at home, some of you are going through this online retreat at home. You want to just to do your sitting, meditate. You want to do your sitting and a bit of walking. But then after that, you go to your kitchen, you forget everything already. You go to your kitchen, you smell your cake, you open up your fridge. What is inside there? Let me have this cake after I do a 1 hour sitting first. You're already planning all what you want to eat already. Yeah. So it's hard for us to, especially very hard for you all to do an online retreat at home. I know you say that, oh, Bhante, right now you all cannot go anywhere. How to do meditation? Cannot go retreat. Most of it can do at home meditation only. Yes, I can understand that. We cannot do much. But there are many things why at home is not so suitable. But we try. One of it is the senses is not able to restrain. You have to talk with people. You have to talk with your family members. You have to answer phone calls. Sometimes you have to see whether what food to cook and so on. Yeah, all these things you have to. The senses are not so easily restrained. So particulars here, as I said, that when we look at something, we already goes into the whether the type of hair, the color of the hair, whether the length of the hair, the eyes, whether this eyes is almond shape or this shape or that shape, the nose is this one, straight, crooked, high, low, flat, mouth, and so on. Then we look into all these things, particulars, especially when we want to see a person is beautiful. When we want to look into a person whether it's beautiful or not, how we judge in our mind, we already go into the particulars to judge the person's face, because our mind so fast, it already capture why is it that face is beautiful, or why is the shape of the body is beautiful? Because of the past perception, we already captured it from the past, and not one time but many times, or countless times we already engraved the perception that particular shape, that particular eyes, that particular skin tone, that particular way of walking, that particular dressing is beautiful. Then when it comes into the present, the moment you see it, before you think so much, your mind is already captured it as beautiful already. Because of the past perception, we already engraved inside us. So in the retreat, we have to be careful not to look into the outlook, because once you go into the outlook or the signs, then you go into the particulars already. So you got to be careful. Restraint of the senses here. So when we restrain of the senses in so many ways, our desire to look and see become very much less. When it become less, that means your craving, your desire also become less. Your anger and your aversion also become less. That means you're smoothing your whole psyche. And long enough, it becomes this good habit become good for you. Then you see that when it comes into a mental development, your meditation will become so much more better, so much more smoother, instead of have to deal with all kinds of beautiful sounds and beautiful sights and so on. So this restraint of the senses. The third one of this purification of livelihood. Here when we say about livelihood here, it's not what you are working here. It's also including monks' livelihood also, or nuns' livelihood also. Yeah? So we have to go through some of the unwholesome livelihood or unrighteous livelihood for a monk or a nun, and also sometimes for lay people also. Not just only dealing with the day I mentioned about dealing with the live animals. You have to kill live animals. You have to deal with weapons, and not only that, but so much more than that. Let us see this one. Okay. Purification of livelihood. Here, a lot to do with restraint. Can you all see? Here, can you all see? right now. Purification of livelihood here is to restrain from many unwholesome action and unwholesome speech that may not be covered by just by the Noble Eightfold Path. I mean, not covered by the, when it comes to speech, you have 4 wrong speech. And not only when it's not covered by that, may not be covered by your precepts also, may not be covered by your everyday livelihood, those things also. But when we go into it, we go into it much more deeper. Here, for example, you have to restrain. A number of things here, purification of livelihood is about restraint. Now, restraint from scheming. Now, what is restraint from scheming? That means you restrain from scheming your bodily actions or your speech. You speak it in such a way, or you do your action in such a way that you want that thing for yourself. You want that gain. You want that fame. You don't want to talk. You don't want to talk about it directly, but you want to scheme the way through in order to get that thing. Say, for example, offering here. Offering here means that, take for example, you receive something, or you're going to receive some, or you want something rather. You want something, and then you put it in such a way that to the devotees, let's say, you're a monk, you put it in such a way that you didn't say you want it, because the monk also should not say you want this and want that. So you say you want these things, but you put it in a way that you talk, hey, this thing is very beautiful. This thing is very nice. Wow, you know how to cook very well. You know how to make the cake very well. Then sometimes his mind is already scheming that you want to get something. Or sometimes in a certain way. And offering means also like the devotees may want to give to another monk. Let's say, the devotees want to give another monk. But you scheme your way through that. You talk to the devotees and then that gift becomes yours. Okay? You scheme your way through, it becomes yours. Just like sometimes we talk in a certain sense, we scheme our way, then we think that, oh, this is this one. Deportment here, this is in the sense of action. Deportment here means how you walk and how you stand and how you sit and how you this one. So let's say you the way that you walk. Oh, you walk so mindfully in front of everybody else, Like, for example, this is a monk or a nun. In front of everybody else, he walks so nicely, very calm, very pleasant. But in the mind, just if I walk this way, after that the devotees will offer me a lot of gifts. Scheming already, in front, sometimes he may speak with people that he looks like he is very calm, peaceful, gentle in front of people, and then with the whole mind inside there, he speaks in such a way that he wants gains, he wants fame. Sometimes he says that if I walk this way, people think that I'm a very good monk, a very wonderful monk. My fame will spread across, and so on. So he's putting up a facade, a front. Putting up a front, using his deportment, using his actions in order to get something, some gain, some this one. So he's scheming the way through in that way, in that sense. Or even in the supernormal powers also. He put it in such a way that he wants to show off, how is it like? With the supernormal powers, what I wrote about it already, I forgot already. Something to do lah, something to do with the mind is intention is not good. That means, oh yeah, the supernormal powers is that if the monk, if let's say the monk or a nun, you got the supernormal powers and you want to show off here a little bit here and there, in order to get gifts and to order to get respect and to people to praise the person, it is also falls under scheming in that sense. Talking. Here the word talking is inverted because there are different types of way how your speech is being this one. Round and round. Round here means you speak on the same thing and you go round and round and round and round and round on the same thing. And here again, behind the intention, he wants to get something. He wants to get wealth or he wants to get fame. Sometimes the monk did he go round and round and round and round and round? For example, he wants to talk about the something he wants to get. Let's say he wants to get a phone or you want to get some requisites, and so you keep on speaking about it until the devotees and other people also get fed up. In order to get fed up, because he go round and round and round and round and round, make a lot of people sometimes confused or get people fed up because at the end he wants something. So you go round and round and round. So sometimes they use this strategy. People use this strategy in order to get gains and so on. So sometimes like businessmen also the same thing. They go round and round and round. They do not know what their product is like. They just simply talk and 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 talk. Sometimes people also get fed up with him. Some people buy out of, just to keep you to shut your mouth. So now, talking up here means boasting oneself or boasting others. Boasting oneself means that you think that, for example, if you're a monk or you are a lay person, you want to connect yourself with somebody big shot, Oh, I'm a monk. I know this politician. I know that politician. I know this big, they know this king and I know this queen, if you are in the olden days. Then because of that, you connect yourself with that. Then they think that you are a big monk, you are a big shot monk, then you are a VIP monk. Then here you are boasting up your this one. So, some of these things you look pretty lame in the everyday life, isn't it? But this is exactly where the taints or where the asavas are operating below it. So if we don't see it as a fault, we don't see it as something unwholesome, we can never able to see it. Then our mind will just go on to do the same thing. Our action, our speech will go on to do the same thing again and again. Some again here like boasting oneself and boasting about his ascetic practice. He's boasting about his meditation. He's boasting about his Duttanga. He's boasting about his achievements here and there. He's boasting about his sometimes, especially those people who have a lot of this one. All this Vinaya exam, and then all the Pariyati exam, they can excel and all that thing. So they post up this thing. They look at all this this thing just to show off to people in order to get gains and so on. So we should restrain from that also in that sense. Flattery here, again here flattery. This is like you think that you are a monk, you shouldn't boasting yourself, but then the ego, this is called the inferiority ego right now, It says that, oh, Bhante, what bo gao, Bhante, look at gao, Bhante. But he just want to make himself very small, or herself very small, to want to show off his humbleness, what bo gao, Bhante, what bei hiao. sometimes some devotees, they come to me. They came in for a number of retreats already, can meditate 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, they come for a number of retreats, they can already have able to meditate. Then after that, they come to me, Bhante, I do not know how much about meditation. Bhante, but you already gone through how many retreats already go bogao? You know, they tried to. They thought that being humble, so-called humble, and they think that people will think that, oh, because of my humble, people think that I'm humble. People think that I'm, I don't know so much. Then people may think, oh, how good this person is, how wonderful this person is. He doesn't boast himself and so on. But for me, especially when I see these type of things, I already know that your ego is in operation already. Your inferiority ego is operation. But in the world out there, when the people see it, they thought that this is just humbleness. But no, this is not humbleness. This is inferiority complex in that sense. Yeah? Because here is to gain fame and to gain gains and so on. Yeah? In greeting chatter, pleasant talks to gain favor. Sometimes these talks that you chatter, then you keep on repeat it again and again, whether this is wholesome or unwholesome, whether it's connected with the truth or not, doesn't matter. You just talk and talk and talk for the purpose of gaining things, for the gaining fame and so on. Being superi, this one. Now, here the word "bin superi," I don't think there's in English word. No, that's not in English. It is literal translation from Pali. It's a literal translation from Pali. Here, bin superi, in the olden days when you cook a bean soup, sometimes some doesn't get cooked, and a lot is cooked. Some didn't get cooked. But of course, nowadays you should kind of like, you may not see these things because you are cooking in a pressure cooker or a slow cooker for so many hours. Usually everything is cooked. Yeah, but sometimes bean superi is Or sometimes you cook rice also. Sometimes you may eat the rice and then you may have some crunchy rice, or a few crunchy rice, and most of it is cooked. Yeah. So here you only speak a little what is true, and the rest is false. And this is especially when we go into business, like a lot of things we want to present what is good. And when it talks about a not good one, sometimes we just keep our mouth shut. Well, we didn't open up our mouth. Or sometimes we talk about a few things is truth. The rest of other things is all not relevant. All nothing there. So it is called being superi. Again, here is want to gain something. Want to gain something. Then here you got more. Belittling others. Belittling others means you again like abusing, you're harsh, you're sarcastic, your sarcasm, your backbiting, denigrating. Denigrating is someone by saying that he's not a giver or meditator, or by censuring him. Denigrating here, it means that for example, when you come to a meditation society, a Buddhist society that is connected with meditation, let's say, then when you look at other people, hey, he and she, he doesn't meditate. He and she also doesn't meditate. We group of here, we all meditate. That one all no meditate. When you do like that, then again you are belittling others. You must also see that that dana that they do, although the morality earlier on, it says that it's considered with stagnation, but it's still a wholesome deed. It's still a wholesome deed. But sometimes out of our own superiority complex, out of our own, our bloated up ego, we look at others. It's just that when they are not meditating or they don't have morality, then we look down on them. Sometimes we have, not only that, we have a lot of this sarcastic note. We don't want to say bad words or harsh speech or abusive speech, but sometimes we want to put it in such a sarcastic manner. We want to belittle others in that sense. That also we have to be careful, because a lot of times, especially when we get angry, we get annoyed. Our sarcastic, our this way of speech may turn up in us. So you have to be careful how we speak in this sense, because all these things have consequences, have karmic effect. Hinting here, for example, again, like take for example, let's say a monk or a nun, he go out to Pindabat. He goes out Pindabat. Then let's say that day, he crave for char kway teow. He crave for char kway teow. So what did he do? So he takes his bowl. He walked near the char kway teow stall. He walked near the char kway teow stall, hoping that somebody offered to him, or hoping that the owner offered to him. So he get his char kway teow. Then tomorrow, let's say tomorrow, he wants all this kway teow theng already. Then he walk there and near the kway teow theng, and then he will get all the noodles and everything, whatever he wants. This is by standing near. Indicating means like you're trying to, you cannot say, but you're trying to look at it, and you're trying to point to it, and you gesture to it that you want something. Sometimes the hinting also, the wife may, the husband and wife may go to to the shopping mall, and then the wife look at the dress or look at the jewelry, for example, then he smile at the husband. That's like joke already, And then if the husband is so stupid and is so ignorant, he just walk past. You see, when they go back, the wife face is Anyway, these are all hinting. Although we may look at this in the daily life, it's all interesting to see, but behind it again is all connected with craving, a lot of desire, and so on. Pursuing gain with gain. Here you dispose your old gains and you want more new gains. For example, that a lot of times with a lockdown occurring, then a lot of times people, now we can get rid of the old stuff already. They want to make the house more cleaner and so on, So they get rid of it. Okay. But then after a while, they find that the place is empty or the place is not there. So they want to put in more things. They put in more things. Or sometimes that the monk or a nun also, they also like getting rid of their old things. And hopefully the devotees or the other people may see that, your things, you don't have this or you don't have that. Let me offer this to you. Let me offer that to you. Or sometimes also in the text they also mention, also in the real life also it's like this. So if supposing a monk or a nun, they go up to Pindabat, they go up to alms round. Then they get all kinds of so-called low quality food. Then after that, they know that after that particular house, it's a lot of very good food that they could get all this. So what they do is that out of this one, they throw away the so-called low quality food. Oh, they see that the bowl is empty. Then they walk to the next house, and then they see, empty. Now I give you a lot of good food. And you see, all craving, all this and all desire and so on. So whether you're a monk or whether you're a nun or whether you're a layperson, you also is all connected with these things. So this one also we have to look into it more carefully, in order that we don't fall into this trap. There are more things. As I said, we cannot go through everything. For finally, is your hiri and otapa. It's your conscience, and you know that this is something wrong. You stop it. You know that this is something unwholesome. There are consequences. You stop it. Sometimes there's no name for it. Sometimes we all cannot able to provide you everything. You go through your own lives, and sometimes you see these things as happening. So it's good that you take note in yourself, and you have some degree of mindfulness. That will be very helpful in order to smoothen your morality in your everyday life. This one. Okay. The next one is this: morality that concerning requisites. And this is also something that for layperson also it's good for you to remember. Okay, now we go to this. Here, usually, normally, we have this. We use the word the ropes. Then we have alms food, and then we have a resting place or shelter. And then we have medicinal requisites. Sorry. Never mind. Okay. Now, here, there are 4 requisites that normally we have: ropes, the alms food, or the shelter or resting place, and also the medicinal requisites. Now, again, here you reflect wisely. Here, that means that you reflecting in the sense of yoniso manasikara, a wise reflection. So you reflect wisely that when you take this rope, or even when you're wearing your clothing, especially your lay clothing, and then here is for us to protect ourselves from all the mosquitoes or gadflies, wind, sun, creeping, and for cover our private parts and so on, concealing all this. And it'll be good that every now and then we reflect on these things, because if not, our attachment to the beauty of what we wear, even that these robes, if we are not careful, sometimes the monks also, they become very attached to a certain type of robe. Sometimes they love shiny robes, because you have that shiny robes. Then people will look at you. Wow, you are more VIP, better monks, higher monks, and your robes are different from others. So if you don't reflect on that, your craving comes into it. So when you reflect on these robes are just for the protection and so on, then the craving, the attachment is not so strong. Then alms food again. Here again we take this food, and most of the time devotees, I do see when they comes into the meal time, then they will do something like that. All this food is not for the sake of physical beauty or attractiveness, but for the endurance and continuance of this body. So what it means here, it's you don't attach to all the food that is being offered in front of you. These four things is generally being recited every day by the monks. Sometimes also being recited before the dana. For example, especially during the lunch dana or breakfast dana, they recite the second one, the alms food here. The third one is the resting place. Again, here we take this resting place is just to protect us from the sun and wind and so on. Sometimes the resting place for or the shelter or home or a house is to show off, is to show off your wealth, is to show off your fame and so on. All these things, especially sometimes you see that politicians have big houses, you do not know where the money come from. Then they have all these big things, and people look at him, oh, he's so successful, he's wonderful, all because of gain and fame. Then here again, the medicinal requisites. This is from all this Majjhima Nikaya. Again here, medicinal requisite is for the purpose of overcoming the unpleasant feelings. That means you are sick and ill in that sense, and also for the benefit of good health. But nowadays we take this medicine, or not just medicine, supplements and so on, because we want to beautify ourselves. You're too fat, let's say, or you think that you're too fat, for example. You don't want to go for exercise and so on. But then you want to take some slimming pills and so on. And then this one also become this. Or you take some kind of pill to make you stronger. Not stronger in the sense that to make your body beautiful, to make your hair grow, perhaps. So that your hair don't disappear, because at your age, especially when I look at all of you, almost like some of you are 40, 50, 60, your hair keep on dropping. As I keep on dropping, you're afraid that one day you become like the monk or the nun. So you take some supplement in order not to drop the hair. Not the hair, not to drop. Then it's all in the sense of beautifying oneself. So a monk or a nun also, or for you all also, you should reflect in that sense. Now, the one last thing before we go on this thing, if your reflection of all these armfoot resting place is not strong enough, it's not powerful enough in order for you to overcome your desire and your obsession with all these taste and food and beauty and all this, then also the Buddha also prescribed what we call the ascetic practices. Now the ascetic practices, you may think that it all belongs to the monk, but really not necessarily belongs to the monk. It also belongs, some can belong to the lay people also. Now, in these practices is to really to curb your craving, a lot of your attachment. Now, take for example, the first one, refuse rag-bearers practice. What I mean by refuse rag-bearers practice, that means the monk or a nun, let's say the monk here, that you cannot receive robes from lay people. And you cannot receive robes from lay people. You only can receive, you cannot receive robes from any of the lay people. You only can get discarded robes or discarded cloth. During the Buddha's time, they have discarded cloth. So you have to source your discarded cloth from the rubbish heap, from some shops that they thrown away, or sometimes you can go to a charnel ground. Where in those days they wrap the corpse with the cloth, and then you got to unwrap it, and then you got to clean it, you got to boil it, you got to dye it, you got to cut it, and then after that you make it into a robe. So you are not supposed to get all these robes from lay people. So here when they connected to the ropes, therefore whatever cloth that comes to you, whatever cloth that you can then you cut it, you make it. Therefore, your attachment, your obsession to ropes is totally curbed in that sense. Triple rope wearers practice also the same thing, in the sense that he only have 3 pieces of rope on it and not more than that. No accessory cloth, nothing, all those things, nothing. That means he got 1 rope, one under rope, then one sangati in that sense. And then how he wash and so on, that is another time we can talk about. Now, in 1 to number 13 here, they got again is each one can divide it into 3 different class. First class, second class, third class. First class is a very strict one. Second class is a bit loosened. Third class even more loose in that sense, but it still fall under ascetic practice. Alms food eater. That means here the alms food eater. That means you have to eat from the bowl. No, sorry, you have to eat from the food. I think from the alms bowl only, something like that. House to house seeker practice means that when you go out for pinapat, you have to go through every house. You cannot skip one house. Even the house don't give you. You have to stand there, don't give, you move on. You stand there, another one, you move on. House to house. One sessioner's practice, again here is continuing with food. One sessioner means you eat one time only per day. There's breakfast or your lunch, they cannot separate into two, only one time only. And there's not only concerning with the evening drinks and all these things he doesn't take anymore. Just one session only. The bowl food eater practice, that means all the food must be inside the bowl, then only he can eat. Later food refuser practice, that means that if people come in offering later than after he have finished his food, then he cannot receive anymore. Again called a later. Sometimes devotees that comes in later, and this one we still receive it. Then sometimes because of the food here, alms food here is so that you don't get attached to all the food has been given to you. Whether people come in, the devotees that come in quite late one, but give you the best food, but you also cannot take also. So alms food, alms bowl, and so on. All whatever that is inside this one, you eat from there only, and you cannot like choose this one and that one. Everything must be from inside the bowl only. Now this again here we have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Here concerning with our shelter. Concerning with our shelter. Here the forest dweller means that you dwell in the forest. You dwell in the forest, you have you go to the forest away from people, you dwell there. 3-foot dweller, again here you must not have a shelter on the top. There's no cover on the top. You reside under a tree. Open dweller, here again is like an open ground. But it depending on which grade that you are in, you can have a rock behind you or you can have something behind you, also can. All depending on the grade of practice. Charnel ground dwellers practice. Here is sometimes we can still able to practice this one. Forest dweller practice, charnel ground dweller practice, we can still able to do that. In the sense that you go to a charnel ground or cemetery ground. A charnel ground is different from a cemetery. A charnel ground during the Buddha's time, a charnel ground means the corpses are exposed. They are not dig 6 feet underground and all covered up by sand and so on, soil and earth. Charnel ground means the corpse are wrapped and you can actually see it, So during Buddha's time, they are like that. So you try to go there and see, and then you try to meditate there and see. See whether your fear comes up or not. See whether your smell attached to the body, all these things comes up or not. So this is also a very good training. So sometimes like the cemetery practices, sometimes monks also go to the cemetery or they stay near a cemetery to meditate, to practice and so on. For lay people near the cemetery already, so afraid of ghosts and so on. Then how to meditate? So some even go to a forest also alone also is very difficult. Because I'm afraid of snakes, afraid of centipede, afraid of this and afraid of that. nothing to be afraid of also, they make it into such a big fear. Then how are you going to meditate? How are you going to develop the mind? Because your craving, attachment is so strong. So all these things are to help you to get rid of your attachment. Any paid user practice here, say as number 12, means that if you go to a monastery, let's say a monk go to the monastery, and then you are given any kuti or any shelter, you must take it. You cannot choose that, no, that kuti looks nice or that kuti looks nicer. I want that kuti. No, you cannot choose. It's given to you. If you practice this ascetic practice, it's given to you, you will take that until you leave the place, no matter what happens to it. Any paid user practice. A seated practice, this one also is good, perhaps for lay people also. Seated practice means that you must not lie down. Even at night when you sleep, you must not lie down. You must not lie down in the sense that you must sit upright. Then there are 3 classes for it also. For example, in this seated practice, if you're the first class, the best, in the sense that you must not have something to lean on your back, and you must not have arms rest. So you must sit. Whether you sleep in that way or you want to meditate the whole night in that way, but you must not lie down. So this is one of the practice. The second class is that you have a back rest, but there's no arm rest. The third grace, you must have an arm rest, and then you have a back rest. So with this, if you train in this way, and if you train in this way, you find that you're not so attached to all this laziness and attached to all the just lying there for nothing. Your mind is quite alert, and if you at night you cannot sleep, it's quite all right. You're quite patient, and then at times where you're traveling, in the flight and all that, you're not too worried whether there's a place for you to lie down, because you can sit and sleep also if you want to, and you're not so attached to just lying down. And all these things that Dhanga practices is really helpful in the sense that it really curb all your desire, or a lot of our desires. So because of this, then your morality goes into a high gear. Your morality, your virtue, your sila, in the sense that it's very well polished. And with that, then you're ready for greater, higher mental development. So with this, we cover upon that morality. And the next talk on next week, we will talk about a little bit on morality. Then we will go on into the next the concentration group already, which is effort, mindfulness, and concentration. We will go into that already. So on this Friday, we have a Q&A session. We have a Q&A session, and you can ask some of the Dhamma question or the Dhamma talk that you are not sure, and then you can post your question. Then we will try to answer it on Friday night, same time. Okay, that's it for tonight.